Way into the Rogers Center. We are anticipating a large crowd for the second of this three-game series. First pitch flies in approximately 15 minutes from now between the Blue Jays and the Orioles. For those who missed the game a night ago, the bullpen day went exceptionally well for the Blue Jays. You don't see that often when the fifth starter, quote unquote, goes, but it worked for them last night, Joe.
I think when you look at who started that game, that was the most surprising. Jamie, Trevor Richards was coming off a rough one out of the bullpen the other day against the Rays, but the Blue Jays, Pete Walker and John Schneider and company, they chose to go with Richards. They felt that that was a good matchup with the lefties at the top of the order. He struck out the side in the first. Julian Merriweather followed with 2 clean innings. So you get through 3 innings. We knew we were going to see Kikuchi for some reason. 6 straight sliders to Cedric Mullins. I don't get it. It's a triple in the gap. And after Adley Rutschman took him deep, 2 quick runs for the Orioles, Kikuchi actually found his stride a little bit, and he gave the Blue Jays 2 innings. Well, those guys gave them 5. So think of Richards, Merriweather, and Kikuchi to give you 5 innings, 2 runs. You would take that from a start. And then you hand it over to what I keep saying are the big boys. Meza, Simber, and Bass. They basically, if you show them a baseball, they'll pitch. That's what they do. They appear in baseball games at the top of the game. They just take the baseball every time it's handed to them. Jimmy Garcia comes in to close things out. But when you take those 5 innings from those guys, when it's a bullpen day, you have to feel that things could go awry and you need to hit. Well, guess what? I asked John Schneider, do you like home runs by your team? He said, yeah, wow, they hit a bunch of home runs, and that's how you win those games.
He also said because Simber's a side armor, he tends to feel he has a rubber arm and can be used all the time, which is not true.
He and Bass.
But he gets used a lot. And we talked about the comfortability of the Blue Jays hitters against Bradish. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., 5 for 9 against him. And remember, Vladdy's on a 10-game hit streak right now. He'll be the DH today against Baltimore. Bo Bichette, 4 for 9. Against Bradish. A quarter of Bo's 24 home runs this year have come against the Orioles. You saw the Rutschman home run from a night ago. This lineup brought to you by Bet365. He's a switch hitter, and that was his first Major League home run from the right side of the plate. Let us now bring in the guys from SN Bets.
Thank you, Jamie. Mike Mohorovic, Jesse Rubinoff at the SN Bets Big Board, presented by Bet365. It was Matt Chapman's day yesterday. His numbers coming into that game against Jordan Lyles were outstanding, and you could say the same today for Bo Bichette's numbers against today's starter, Kyle Bradish.
No doubt. In 10 plate appearances against Bradish, Bichette has 4 hits, 2 of them being home runs. Honestly, though, who doesn't Bichette have good numbers against right now? Bo and the Blue Jays, once again, favorites in this one, minus 165, as they try to put even more distance between themselves and the Orioles.
And the White Sox are trying to do the opposite, close the gap between themselves and Cleveland at the top of the AL Central. Johnny Cueto is on the bump for Chicago, and back on July 9th, Cueto dealt a gem to the Tigers, 8 scoreless innings of 5-hit ball. And the not-so-scary Tigers offense has been particularly bad lately, hitting 168 against righties over their last 5.
Yeesh. Not great at all. Part of the reason the Blue Jays have been able to leapfrog the Tampa Bay Rays in the standings, Tampa's really having trouble putting runs on the board. They've scored more than 4 runs in a game just twice in their last 14. And today they're up against one of the Rangers' better arms in John Gray. So it seems the Rays' offensive breakout may have to wait just a little bit longer.
Let's hope so, Jesse. The New York Mets on the other side, they love Pittsburgh pitching. In their 4 games this year, the Mets have an astounding 41 hits, 7 off today's starter Bryce Wilson. Tyler Naquin leads the way with a .500 batting average against Wilson, so that's something to keep an eye on tonight.
Well, the Mets enjoy the Pirates pitching. The Blue Jays loved the O's pitching yesterday. Will that continue today? We'll have to wait and see. Jamie, back to you.
So, gentlemen, as Kyle Bradish gets set to face the Blue Jays, up next we'll present a young man from near Peterborough, Ontario, hoping to find his way to the majors one day. Stay with us on Blue Jays Central. Many of Canada's major league players have come from small towns or cities. Terry Poole is from Melville, Saskatchewan. Charlie Meade went from Vermilion, Alberta, halfway between Edmonton and the Saskatchewan border, to the National League's New York Giants. One day, as Jeff Blair explains in today's Junior Journey, Parker Burgess hopes to put his hometown on the big league map too.
Growing up in rural Ontario, Parker Burgess's dream of playing professional baseball first began in the sprawling backfields of his hometown.
I live in a small town inside of Peterborough called Durrow-Dummer. It's a pretty tightly knit community.
It's about 20 minutes east of Peterborough. There's about 6,700 people that live out here.
Durrow is a farming community, typically.
We got chickens. We rent out our pasture to a farmer down the road. So we have cows in the summer. Durrow's pretty country. It's about as country as it gets.
We have 75 acres here and built our house and have raised our boys and just have loved everything about it.
Naturally gravitating to hockey, it wasn't until a family friend's suggestion to give baseball a try that Burgess first discovered the game that would eventually take him away from his small town and into the big city.
My first year baseball, I remember my first at-bat. I was like at the back part of the white line in the box, right? I was just shaking. But then I remember getting on the mound for the first couple times, and it was just kind of like a peace of mind.
He started pitching right off the hop, and it just was his strength.
He said to me one time a couple years into it, he said, "Dad, I really feel most comfortable on the mound." I pitched a little bit when I was younger, and I could recognize that he had a pretty good arm when we played catch. All of his, arm actions looked proper. I guess I could say I take credit for teaching him to throw. Everyone else along the way has taught him how to pitch.
It's fun to develop as a pitcher. It's hard. It's very hard. I like difficult situations. I like the pressure.
We realized he was falling in love with it, and he was doing well.
Embracing pitching full-time, Burgess began to have success, opening eyes with ever-increasing velocity and the knack for striking hitters out.
Grade 10 was a year I decided I need to focus on pitching. I think I hit 84, and it was a big step, kind of like a breakout. The velocity jump was very nice. I come back to the dugout and the boys were like, "Oh man, like you just hit 90." And then I go out again and I come back in and they're like, "Man, you just hit 91."
With the global pandemic bringing organized baseball to a halt, Burgess took advantage of the time off, making the most of a difficult situation.
COVID for Parker, while it was hard, it was a good thing in a way because it put him in the gym, and the gym has been his biggest, his biggest asset.
I kind of realized that I needed to focus on specifically pitching and get my body to where I need to be as a pitcher.
He started hitting the weights hard, throwing at home, all the things that maybe he might not have had time to do on the side, he now had time to do.
The tireless work paid off, ultimately culminating with an invite to the Canadian junior national team.
I think it was always kind of a dream for him, and he was waiting for this phone call from Coach Greg Hamilton.
Parker's the projectability. He has, a plus breaking ball in the makings, a plus fastball. He's got the physicality and the arm that works to go with it. So there's a lot of reason to dream on it going forward, and it'll be step by step. But he's got the potential for a very, very, very bright future.
Representing Canada is an honor. It's huge. I love being able to be an inspiration to the kids back home in my small hometown, Durrow Dummer. Get a lot of little guys reaching out to me, asking what they can do, asking how they can get better. It's a lot of fun. It means a lot to me.
With under-18 World Cup experience under his belt and armed with a commitment to the University of Illinois, Burgess is primed for success no matter where his journey takes him.
From 2020 on till now, it's just been a whirlwind.
His high school is maybe 12 or 1,500 students, and then to think to go off to a university that has a population of 60,000 students at is wild. That's our population in Peterborough, right?
Obviously his dream is to be drafted in the major leagues, and he's in the right place with Team Canada right now to have that opportunity. So fingers crossed, hopefully something good comes out of it.
It will be fun to watch his ascension perhaps into professional baseball. We're keeping track of all the teams in the playoff race for you later tonight. Take a look at this. Texas taking on Tampa Bay again. That's on Sportsnet. Sportsnet 1 will have the Yankees in Milwaukee taking on the Brewers. And then later tonight, it's George Kirby for Seattle and Shohei Ohtani going for the Angels. So that game is available as the Blue Jays get set to take on the Orioles today wearing red. This should be fun. Big crowd expected. As always, thank you so much for watching Blue Jays Central.